NSA Insider, and loaded phone lines with Michael, Peter, Dominic, Julio, Joseph, and many others that are patiently holding. Before we go back to our guest, please remember we are not funded like a lot of mainstream media through government bailouts and banker bailouts or NPR, getting taxpayer money. We're funded by listeners like you, supporting our local AM and FM affiliates, spreading the word, supporting our sponsors, and we self-fund selling high-quality, pro-liberty, made-in-America apparel, Molon Labe, come and take it, back in stock, the long-sleeve camo that is so popular, though some sizes are already selling out again. If you order the high-quality supplements, the new Molon Labe collector edition silver coins, only 500 of them. You get a free lapel pin. The nickel and also brass come and take it Molon Labe belt buckles. All of this is now available at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And again, if you order by the 17th, we guarantee shipping in the lower 48. If you order this week, we can get it to you basically anywhere in the world where UPS or USPS ships, or to Alaska or Hawaii. But get your Christmas or holiday orders in, and these are high-quality products, whether it's a Molon Labe ball cap or high-quality silver bullet colloidal silver, or whether it's the nascent high-quality iodine that so many people are deficient in. It's all available at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. But get the Molon Labe belt buckles and silver coins while you can, because these are all limited edition, 500 each, and once it sells out, we never sell them again. We've already had one series of Molon Labe belt buckles. This is the second series. We'll have one more, and then that will be it for at least a couple years before we even have a new design. Like I said, we had the Joker shirt and would bring it back. Never did. Okay, enough of that. William Binney, I want to go to these calls. I want to have you be able to speak to any topic you wish, but to imagine you with all these commendations and medals you have, called by Nightline and other operations, one of the most successful code breakers and scientists ever, helping defend this country against the Soviets and terror groups and many others. What is it like when you got raided? Go back to that and describe the persecution that goes on when you weren't even going public at that time to try to basically imply that you were a bad guy so they could disappear you down the road. I mean, if they can get William Binney, they can go after anybody. And then I want to get your view on Snowden. And he says that a revelation's coming out that would bring down the political system. Or he said, be careful, I have a revelation that would bring you down. Well, what type of revelation could that be, William Binney?
Well, he may simply be talking about, like, for example, CIA was spying on Feinstein's intelligence committee when they were preparing that report, on terror. The report she's trying to get out here recently. I think if they look a little closer, they'll find out that spying is much more extensive than they even think. So in other words, I think if they look fairly closely, I mean, Russ Tice has said this for several years now, that they have been spying on senators, House of Representatives, judges of the Supreme Court, even in the White House, and also generals and other federal judges and so on. So they're spying. The spying network that we've created inside this country is actually spying on the leadership of this country, the ones that have power over them, so that they know what their position is and can adjust accordingly, and prepare for it. So that's what they're doing. I mean, they're spying on everybody, our leadership in this country as well as everybody else on the planet. So this is an uncontrollable. These are uncontrollable agencies. They have no way of verifying anything they're doing, and they let them continue that way, when in fact they should all stand up. The problem is, you don't know, and they don't know, the House of Representatives and senators, they don't know what kind of evidence the intelligence community has accumulated about them and their activities. Is it something like J. Edgar Hoover had over the entire Congress. He used that power to. It was actually the power he had wasn't that he may not have known anything about you, but you may think he did, and that gave him power over you. So, but he certainly knew a lot about the leadership in Washington.
Well, we also know those files were a form of internal governmental defamation and slander and libel because they were also filled with disinformation and garbage. And that goes to my next question. What about the problem of planted data through the system? I mean, we know that goes on.
Well, I mean, yes, that plus in our case, at least in the cases that we had, we knew they were fabricating data. Like, and in Tom Drake's case, when they indicted him, the data that they had there was fabricated. It was retroactively classified, and then he was charged with having classified material. Well, I mean, that's like framing him. I mean, that's a felony, and these people should go to jail for that. Even Thomas Tam back in 2003, when he was the lawyer in the Department of Justice that was the source of the New York Times article on warrantless wiretapping. And when he was his job at the Department of Justice was to prepare the warrant request for the FISA court, the secret court. And so when he was going through that, he was discovering that they had wiretaps already on people that they hadn't gone through the FISA court to get. Well, that by definition or by law at the time was a violation. That was a federal felony. In other words, if you didn't have a FISA approved warrant to get a wiretap on a U.S. citizen for the intelligence community, then you in fact were committing a federal felony, and they were doing that by the thousands.
And never got in trouble.
They never got in trouble. No.
Wasn't that really part of a larger parallel construction where they only go get the warrant later once they want to go back and claim that they got the information with a warrant?
Yeah, that was all part of that, and that had been going on since at least 2001, since after 9/11. And Director Mueller of the FBI said they were using that program, Stellar Wind, which is the domestic spying program. He said they were using it since 9/11 in 2001, which is October, which is when they created the name Stellar Wind.
William Binney, top NSA whistleblower, is our guest. I mean, I'm just a layperson, but correct me if I'm wrong. When you start snooping on everybody, you create giant troughs of information that could be stolen, hacked, or taken. B, you're focusing on so much that you miss the real threats that are specific and can be tracked and focused in on. So you blind yourself in a way, having too much data. It's like having a billion phone messages. You can't listen to any of them, basically. And then C, and I think this is probably the most important, it creates a whole system of blackmail domestically and will convert you to a tyranny. So it's like suicide. I mean, what did Congress think? It's already come out for decades. They use the NSA, the British NSA, GCHQ, to spy on Parliament. And now they're using all this data on each other. And it just, I mean, why would the political elite create such a thing and think that they could control it?
That's exactly right. And the point is that what it means is you're giving all this knowledge and power to a set of individuals that aren't controlled, and they're sooner or later they use it. I mean, that's just human nature to have that happen. So I mean, it's only a matter of time, like you say, as to how long it's going to take them to take advantage of all the data they've gotten. So. I mean, it's just a very bad situation and a very bad path that we've chosen to take here, down the dark side with Dick Cheney.
Sometimes you got to work on the dark side, to quote Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
In fact, guys, find that clip if you can. Well, that's what's so crazy about this. Information's power, and they've taught so many people in public school and in colleges and TV that, if you don't have anything to hide, don't worry about it. Well, why not have a glass house? Why not leave your codes to your computer out publicly? No. We all know that bad people will take advantage of that information. Well, it's the same thing with government or corporations. What about corporations? I see them almost as a bigger threat now because they're all in a race with government to be the ultimate spy. I mean, isn't Google really the ultimate spy in the final equation?
I think part of the problem with their mining of Gmail is getting close to what the government's doing. But they don't have the resources. See, part part of the problem is that Google doesn't have all the data access that the NSA does, for example. NSA can get into any business activity like banking or travel or anything like that, and Google doesn't really have access to all of that. It also doesn't have access to all the emails. They have a good number, but they don't have all of them. And they don't also have the cooperation of other companies around the world and corporations to give them the wiretaps to get the transactional relationships between people. Not all of it anyway. I mean, they certainly have a great deal of it, but it's not to the degree that government is.
So plus government brings it all together and in the darkness binds it.
Right. Yeah. And the point is that Google doesn't, and companies do not have the power that government does when it comes to arresting people or, putting them in jail or fabricating evidence or framing them like they've tried to do to us. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of difference between government and at least in terms of power and capability.
I want to go to some phone calls for William Binney here and also go through this huge list of Twitter questions that we have. Let's go ahead and talk to Joseph in Texas. Joseph, you're on the air with William Binney.
Hi. I wanted to call in and talk to you guys about, I'm a hairdresser in Dallas, and I had a client for a little while this year who was he was the VP for the manufacturer that created the NSA center in Utah. And he gave me a lot of, he told me as much as I guess he could about when they were building it and about this data center. And I also have another friend of mine who just recently met who's he works with AT&T on the neural networks collecting the data. So I wanted to ask some questions and just see if, I could get an answer from him. I was basically told just that the NSA data center, that they were spying on, everything from our cell phones to our banks, to everything, connecting it all. And after I heard that, I actually heard a documentary with, from, it was like the Operation Stellar Wind documentary. And so I just wanted to hear about that.
Mr. Binney?
Yeah, that's the whole point of why they had to build Bluffdale with all that storage. I mean, it wasn't for metadata; it was for content of communications. Like all of your emails and phone conversation recordings and transcripts and things like that. I mean, the point is, if you wanted to put together all of the relationships of everybody in the world on metadata relationships and build those kind of what they're called graphs or simply social networks of everybody in every domain, phone calls, emails, banking, all of that, then you could do that and store it in a room 20 foot by 40 foot. That's all it would take to store all of the relationships and all the domains of everybody in the world. So, and you could keep it there for, 50 years perhaps, something like that. And so the real point was the hundreds of thousands of square feet of storage was needed for the content, and that's where the bulk of data is. That's where the bulk of information is, and that's what takes an awful lot of storage up. The rest of it is not doesn't take that much storage.
That's right. In Utah and Texas, that's a key point. When they lie and say we're just keeping metadata, they consider everything to be metadata. It's a lawyer's game they're playing. Thank you, Joseph. Let's go ahead and take another call. Let's talk to Dominique in California. You're on the air.
Hey there, William. I got a question about who they're kind of watching now. I videotaped a jet laying some geoengineering trails out the other day, and some webs started falling from the trail, and I got it all on tape, and I got a lot of samples of these webs falling from the sky. And my question is, are they monitoring geoengineering activists such as myself? Because I've been telling a lot of people about this and trying to get the word out there, and I'm kind of getting a little worried.
Well, I don't think you heard him. Everything's being recorded and monitored. And now I don't think they mind that it's out as a chilling effect. It's illegal what they're doing. We need to stop it, but it doesn't intimidate me and doesn't shut down my speech. William Binney, do you have any information? Thank you, Dominic. Do you have any information on geoengineering, climate manipulation?
Well, I would think that that's one of the things they're certainly monitoring all kinds of research done around the world. For example, one of the best ways to find out who's working on quantum computing is to, for example, go to a quantum computing conference around the world and just go around and collect business cards. And you find that sets up a community, and then you work the transactional relationships you're getting across the network to build their social